after asking a series of questions on what it says, היום תחלת מעשיך, in Musaf davening, how do we call it, the idea of tchilas מעשיך, how do we call it on the Roshon, in the beginning of your doing, when the making of everything began on Yom Rishon, and since everything began already on Yom Rishon, and it's even included in Yom Rishon, all the rest of the days, how can you call something tchilas maasecha? How can you also call zikaron liyom rishon, a remembrance for the first day? And even the idea of dibur, we said that malchus is binyan. The whole idea of Rosh Hashanah is binyan hamalchus, rebuilding the level of malchus, which is the level of dibur. Since it's rebuilding the level of malchus, which is the level of dibur, how can we say that it's on the sixth day? The beginning of Hashem's dibur began with the first mimer of Bereshis Bar Elokim, and also Yehi Or, the whole Seder Ishtalshlus was built with that dibur of Yehi Or. So either way you look at it, whether you look at it from the literal sense, or you even look at the purpose of Rosh Hashanah, which is the idea of rebuilding the entire chayis through the idea of dibur, it needs to be understood. How can you call it tchilas masech? So again, on the fourth page of the Maimer, page Ches Ois Beis, line 5. Yuvan, this will be understood. Bahagdim amavur b'Maimer Admor Hazakim. Sha'amori b'Shabbos shelifnei HaRoshon l'soif shnas Tovkuf Samach Zayin. This will be understood by first prefacing what's explained in the Maimer of the Alter Rebbe, that he said in Shabbos, on the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah, at the end of the year, Tovkuf Samach Zayin, v'nitfas ba'Oira Torah, it's printed in the Tzemach Tzedek's Oira Torah, im ha'oros ha'Tzemach Tzedek. It seems to be that this is, at least at the time when the Rebbe said this Maimer, it wasn't available as part of the Alter Rebbe's Mamarim. This was incorporated in the Tzemach Tzedek's Mamarim and Oira Torah, because it also had over there the comments, the ha'oros of the Tzemach Tzedek on it. So the Alter Rebbe says over there, Sha'olam nivra b'chav hei be'elul. What's talking the significance? What's the connection of the creation of the world with this particular date on the calendar, the 25th of El? So the Alter Rebbe explains, Chav hei is bechinas koi. It's the level of koi, as we'll soon explain. Koi in Lashon Kodesh means like this. It's an expression that all the Nevi'im usually used. Koi Amar Hashem, like this is what Hashem said. Now, because it was spiritually on the level of Koi, so that's why in the physical sense it came down here also. Therefore, it also manifests itself that way in time, that it's the 25th day of Elul, the letters Koi. So in other words, there's the cause and the effect. The reason why on the calendar date it's the 25th is because Beruchnius, it's the level of Koi. Since Beruchnius is Koi, and the spiritual level, whatever that means, it comes down here on the calendar as the date of Chav Hei of Koi. So he explains, what's this idea? This is similar to what Chazal say. Al derech kol ha-neviim nisnabu b'koi. It says that all the Nevi'im, when they said nevuah by saying koi amar Hashem, like we said before. Like this, Hashem spoke. As opposed to, as we'll soon say, Zeh Moshe Rabbeinu nisnaba b'zeh. He says Zeh hadavar asher tziva Hashem. What is the idea of B'koi? So the Rebbe goes on the brackets on line 11. Shaloshim koi moira she'eina inyan barer etzloi. The expression koi indicates that the matter is not something that is totally and completely clear. Like this. How can you say that? They're Nevi'im. Nevi'im seemingly are seeing Nevuah. Though there's the idea of prophecy, he revealed his words and through his servants the Nevi'im. And the Spirit of Hashem spoke through them, and his words is on their tongue. So how do we call it koi? That's not clear, that's not a davar bar. Kol makom still in all, hareze ba'efen shel koi, it's still in the way of like this, shezeu imnas paklaria she'ena me'ira. It's a non-luminous lens. In other words, even though it's a lens, even though it's a glass, it's something that doesn't let through the entire vision of the thing. Whereas Moshe Rabbeinu, it says, saw via espaklaria me'ira, he saw directly. He like looking through a glass window where you see directly what you're looking at. So that's why on the 25th of Elul is associated with the level of Koi, as we'll soon explain. On line 16, Rashon and Nivra Adam Rishon, Rashon Adam Rishon was created. All of Namar Zeh, Hayom, Tchilot, Maasecha. Concerning Adam Rishon, it says, this is the day, the beginning of your doings, the beginning of your makings. So, contrasting the Koi of Chafei Be'elul versus what we say about Rosh Hashanah Zeh. We said before that Moshe was different than all the Nevi'im. By Moshe Rabbeinu it says Zeh. Al derech Moshe nisnabe bezeh, similar to what it says about Moshe Rabbeinu, that he prophesied and he used the word Zeh, because Moshe Rabbeinu's revelation was on a much higher level. The same way how there's a different level of revelation between all the other Nevi'im that were nisnabe bekoi, versus the revelation that Moshe Rabbeinu attained in his nevuah that said he used in term Zeh. That same difference is between Chaf Hei Be'elul, Kai, versus Zeh Hayom Tchilas Maasecha that we say on Rosh Hashanah. So he says in line 19, what occurred on Rosh Hashanah, the creation of Adam and Chava, Shaydei B'rias Adam Rishon Nimshach Lias Gili B'chinas Nisnabe B'zeh, that through the creation of Adam Rishon, which only took place on the Rosh Hashanah, came down the revelation of Zeh, which is similar to the nevuah of Zeh. This is also concerning what it says. Concerning Rosh Hashanah, the Alter Rebbe connects this pasuk that it says in Navi, it says, V'amartem, and the Alter Rebbe explains, V'chibartem koi l'choi. And you will say, meaning you will connect, you will join the koi to the choi. What does that mean? You will join the koi to the choi. V'hainu she'inyan shel Rosh Hashanah poel mamshach ha'inyan dechai gam b'choi. That the idea of Rosh Hashanah affects and influences and draws down the level of chayis of Elikus, the revelation of Elikus that connects it with the koi in this world. That is the function of Rosh Hashanah. That's v'amartem koi l'choi, that the Zohar says that it took place when that was said. V'amartem koi l'choi, that was said on Rosh Hashanah. And that statement is about drawing down and bringing the chayis of the Oid Ein Sof, the Soivev Kol Almin. We are drawing down from the Eibishter's infinite light, from his Chai to the Koi, to the level of the creation of the world. So he says in line 23, Vaidei Zeh Nasis Bechinas Koi Kimei Bechinas Zeh, that through the Koi, through this, the Koi becomes like the level of Zeh. It's a little bit confusing, so let's just bring down, let's just have a look at the side. On the left side of the page is the commentary that brings from the Alter Rebbe, brings the pasuk. So the pasuk V'amartem koi l'choi is a pasuk in Sefer Shmuel. Let's look on line 46 on the commentary on the left side of the page. Number b'Sefer Shmuel, it says in the Sefer Shmuel, David HaMelech shalach na'adim lishol b'shloim shel Novel HaKarmeli, that David HaMelech sent youths to ask after the well-being of Novel and v'hoyra lahem, and he directed them to say the following: V'amartem koi l'choi, you should say so to life, you are hopefully well, in other words, peace, and your house hopefully is well, and everything to you is well. That's the pasuk. So the Alter Rebbe explains L'Kutei Torah. Parsha Seinu, Parsha Nitzavim, and our Parsha L'Kutei Torah. The Alter Rebbe on Parsha Nitzavim explains as follows. He brings the quote in line 52 in the commentary. Adam ha'yirishon ha'yakol mekol nishamas Yisrael. Adam ha'yirishon included within him all the nishamas of Yid. L'chein, therefore, the flip side is the other way around. Just like Adam Rishon had in him all the neshamas, the same thing, every neshama is associated with Adam Rishon. L'chein kol neshama v'nitus miYisrael yesh bechelik minishmas Adam Rishon. Therefore, every single neshama has in it a part and a of the neshama of Adam Rishon, and that's why Shalchein Nemar Adam Atem Krim Adam. That's why the Chazal derive from the pasuk. It says in the Torah, Adam Atem, you are Adam. So the Chazal derive Atem Krim Adam. You, the Yidden, are called Adam. How come? Why Dafka Yidden are called Adam? Because our neshamas, since they were all part of the neshama of Adam Rishon, so even now as we became separated from Adam Rishon, we still retain within us that Adam part of us. That's why we are called Adam. Now, since we have within us a miniature Adam, therefore, in our inspiration is everything dependent. How we are inspired down here below, that is how everything else is caused. To draw down the Roshon, the general life force. Where do we have to draw down the life force? From the infinite light of Hashem that encompasses all the worlds. And from that light, we draw down the energy to be the revelation of His godliness for the entire year. So that's that's why it says you should say koi lachoi pirish bezoyer chelik beis reish pat ve'elu daf chav gimel beis. That the Zohar explains what is the meaning of amartem koi lachoi. That it's referring to Yom Tov, the Rosh Hashanah Havel lekashra koi lachoi. This took place. This whole conversation with David and the youths with Novel Carmeli took place on Rosh Hashanah. And the purpose of Rosh Hashanah is to bind and to connect the Koi to the Chai, meaning the world that was created with Chafhei Elul, with the level of Koi, to the Chayis of Sovev Kolalmin. And then he goes on and says that the rest of the events also took place post Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Let's go back to our text. 2 lines from the bottom of the page after the brackets, line 24. So he's going to explain very interestingly what does it mean to make the Adam in our form and in our image. There's a difference between form and image. One is a higher level and one is a lower level. When we talk about in our form, who top of page test, etzema inyan, the very matter itself. It's like something that might be a 3-dimensional form, like making a sculpture. So that is identical to the thing itself. Masha enkin kid museinu, as opposed to kid museinu arezerak, the mus. That's only like a picture, it's only like a drawing, it's only like a 2-dimensional reproduction of something. It's not like, and takes on the full form of the thing itself. Ubefrat is even more so. When he says, like our image, it doesn't say demuseinu, it's our image, but it's only like our image. So it's even further distant between what Adam is reflecting. So these different levels, the level of Salmenu, which is the essence, versus kidmuseinu, which is only a likeness or even a like of a likeness. This is the level of soivev and memalem, both the transcendent level and the inner level. So that is what we are getting, the higher level and the lower level. That it's the on Rosh Hashanah, we brought the Zeh of Zayim Tchilas Masecha into the Koi of creation. Meaning, we brought the Soivev Kalalman into the Malach Kalalman. Or a different way of putting it, Adam was a combination of the Zeh and the Koi, of the Tselem and the Mus, of the Soivev and the Malach together. That's what took place in the time of the creation, as opposed to at the beginning of creation, before the revelation of Zed, there was only the level of Koi, only the external level, only the lower level, das Paklaria she'ena me'ir. So the Rebbe, after using these Kabbalistic terms, is going to explain this more down to earth. Ois Gimel, line 6. An explanation of this matter will be understood by prefacing what's explained in the Siddur with Chassidus. That's compiled by the Mittler Rebbe and the Alter Rebbe's Mamorim. The B'chol Rosh Hashanah Choyzer Madvarm L'Kadmusam, every Rosh Hashanah, the entire situation, the entire creation returned to the way they were initially. And their life force and vitality is renewed from their first initial source. We have to go back to draw down a new life force and energy that wasn't there in that because the life force and energy from the previous year left. Since the life force and vitality of the entire previous year already left this world, and therefore it's understood that the life force should come down anew. We need to draw down from a much higher place to be able to affect this revelation, this new chayis for the world. The idea behind this is the life force and vitality of the worlds we said before is from the speech. Like we said, Binyan Malchus. Malchus is the level of speech, but Var Melch Shilton, that the Hashem spoke the world into existence. This life force and energy that vitalized the world and gave the world energy was from the level of speech. It left bringing anew this life force of Rosh Hashanah has to be from a level that's beyond the level of Hashem's speech, because you're going back to the source. That's what it says. This is the day of the beginning of your actions. So that it should be able to be now. That should be able to be now a new hamshacha of chayis. That's what we're referring to. Today, we need to draw down a new hamshacha of chayis, hamshacha chadasha, which is Zechariah Yom Rishon, which is similar to the first day of creation, to Chafei Elul, 5,785 years ago. We need to draw down a new chayis, just like then came down a new chayis. It's insufficient just to draw down the level of speech. The level of speech, that's an external level. That is similar to Chafei Be'el, which Chafei is external. It's like the Dmus. It's Koyam Hashem, like this. Aspaklari Sheina Me'ira, non-luminous lens. It's not revealed. She'oz Nivra Olam Ayidei Bechinas HaDibur. On the 25th of Elul, the world was created through the level of speech. That's the level of Koy. But rather, we need to go to a higher source. There is a need in drawing down from the level of thought, that it's incomparably higher from the level of speech. That is the level of the neshamas of Yidden that arose in the thought. Thought, we know, is higher than speech. Since we need to draw down from a level that's higher than speech, Yidden are the ones that do this, because Yidden, the source, is higher than the rest of the world. The rest of the world's thought source is from the level of speech. Everything is vayomer. Vayomer kimi yor, vayomer kimi hirakia, etc., etc., etc. Neshamas were all b'machshava, the Chazal said. The neshamas rose up in Hashem's thought. That's why they are able to tap into the source. They are able to bring the speech out because they are tapping into the source of speech, the machshav. Then the Rebbe goes on and says, "Befrat ha-piadiuk all of machshav," especially according to the exact language that we examine, that the Chassidus always says. It says all of machshav. They arose in thought. Why does it say that the Neshamas Yisrael arose in thought? Could have just said they came about in Hashem's thought. Hashem thought about them. So all of the machshava shemoyda al tachlis aliyah machshava gufed indicates the ultimate ascent in thought itself. Ki neshamas Yisrael heim l'mayla mishoyrish kol seder ishtalshlos, because the neshamas of Yidden are higher than the root of the entire Seder Ishtalshlos. So they didn't just come from anywhere in Hashem's thought. They came from a level in Hashem's thought that's the highest, most level in thought. Chassidus explains, the Rebbe talks about this. My thought can be about different things. I can think about things that have no significance to me. I can think about things that are important to me, and then I can think about things that matter to my very own life, to my very own existence. That's the highest, deepest level of thought. And that's the level that Yidden took from and came from in their creation. Where do we see that Yidden are higher than the entire Seder Ishtalshos Gemaim, like it says, who did Hashem consult if to create the world or not? He consulted the neshamas of tzaddikim. To create the world, that doesn't just mean the physical world. The whole entire Seder Ishtalshus was put into place for our world. So that means that before there was any Seder Ishtalshus, Hashem consulted the tzaddikim. V'amichum tzaddikim, the Rebbe always says. So that means neshamas already existed prior to the entire creation of the world. Since the Eibishter consulted the Yidden on the general Seder Ishtalshus, how they move, and so it's understood that Yidden are higher than the entire chain order of descent. Even concerning the most highest level of Seder Ishtalshus, because any level in Seder Ishtalshus was for the sake of the world. So, you want to tell me, Kesser, why they should make Kesser? To make the world. Before he's going to make Kesser, he needs to go back to his consultant. He has to go back to the Yidden. So the Yidden are higher than Kesser. You want to tell me the Kav, you want to tell me it's Tzimtzum Rishon, you want to tell me like we had in a different Maimon, even Oren Self Shlifnat Tzimtzum, these were all put into place because Hashem wanted to create the world. So it means before any of this, Hashem had to consult the Yidden. That means that Yidden existed before any level. And bring it back to what we said before. V'hainu, this means, since the root of Seder Ishtalshus comes from the level of speech, every level, not just the physical world down here, everything going back to the highest levels. And Neshamas Yisrael, all of Machshava, they arose in the thought which is higher than that. Of course, the Rebbe is going to ask in the next paragraph something that you may have all thought about, but it also uses the term of speech concerning the creation of a person. It says, "Vayomer Elokim nasa Adam tzalmeinik v'seinu," that Hashem said, "Let us make man in our form and in our image." And the Maimon is going to talk about why it's not just enough that the Yidden were all of machshava. Afterwards, there has to be the dibur of the Asar Mamoros as well.